from why writing and now?
Okay, that's an interesting question. And first of all, thanks Shani, for being here, and thank you all for being here. Uh, I really did not have any idea of writing. I know probably she will be smiling at me now and what this writing is. So I've been giving multiple speeches, and she just saw the thought in me, and I was thinking, why not I write something? At least try. So when I reached out to my friend, he referred me to guys over here, and he's the one who understood completely what is the difficulty of writing. And he's the author of 3 books, and he did spend a lot of time with me and helping me to understand how to write, and what can we do with being an author. So that's when the journey started. I did publish a book a couple of years back. You have some good thoughts, but it's one from reading your book. So as I was giving a speech in one of the products on touching on this radio barriers. So that's when it caught my mind, and I really wanted to go ahead and write something about it. So I'm doing it.
Great. Thanks, Usha. Breaking the barrier, that too invisible to take your questions first. Anybody, any question need not be related to the book. It can be anything you have in your mind right now if you want. Maybe you can think through. Meanwhile, I'll go to the next question, Usha. And they have a professional look. Now, this look of adventure in your book, what is the story behind this book cover page?
Right. So I think a lot of people were asking me when I was trying to create this book and talk about this book. The one that you see here, it's a candid photograph, and it was took way back when I was into some adventure sports. Now, what is the relationship between that photograph and this book? Something I want to share here. Uh, the challenge is not limited to profession. I'm a strong believer that unless otherwise you make your personal life comfortable, it's very difficult to have a better professional life. Whether you're living with family or you're outside of family, how do you handle something? So this expression is like I was fast and I have to cross everything. I think around 3 feet with 0 degree water. And the last one, but before, is something that you have to travel in the mud, and the whole water is full of mud. It's a muddy water, and it's dark brown color, and they keep pouring the ice cubes into the water tank, right? So the person, the participant, has to either go down into the water or cross the puddle. Now, at some point, you have to go into the water. Right? I just got into the water. At that moment, I thought, why did I do this? Okay? Why did I do this? And when I came out, I was like, okay, I'm out of this. And I was like, my mind went blank. My eyes were like, what are you trying to achieve? You're not an athlete. You're not a sports person. What are you doing here? You know, that was my expression. But then the moment I came out, I felt, okay, I've crossed one. I just have a couple of more to. The moment I completed it, gave me a sense of completion, a sense of completing something that I wouldn't have even imagined to do it. The book is also the same, right? So this is not limited to the professional, no matter whether you're working or any profession that you are. The barriers are same. So I've had multiple coaching sessions with people who are not working, and they've got more problems than people who are working, right? So it's all about you. So that's why I thought it shouldn't be, stamped as a corporate, it's only for corporate people, or it's only for a group of people. See, this women, or this is not something limited to people who are working. So I thought it would be an appropriate one. And this idea of mine came when I was showing my earlier book cover to my coach, and I was sharing that I had a coat suit, and I took a very beautiful photograph and it was on the cover, and he said, "Yeah, something is missing." And I got super irritated. I said, "What's missing? What can I more do about this beautification of my face in the photograph?" Isn't it? It's not about that. Think about it. And in the middle of the night, I just took my album and I was going through one by one of my photographs. And finally, the moment I saw this, it just clicked me. I said, "No, this is something that I want to put."
That's great, Usha. Actually, when we received the book, my wife took it and she looked at the book page and she said, what type of adventure is this? That was the trigger behind this question to me, and I'm sure my wife might be watching it live and should have got an answer. Not only her, everyone would have got an answer. And other aspect I told to my wife, and that's exactly what you said, is it's not only for whether whatever you do, here is a book which will help you to break your invisible barriers. And I actually requested my wife to go through this and access. That's where I have kept your book. So, any questions from any audience here? Yes.
How do you find time to write books? Okay. I think I get up 1 hour early. So check it out. But then I think this also I learned over a period of time. So I was the one who was saying that I don't have time. I mean, it's always busy. Right? But then I took an effort to write down for a week or two that what am I doing, when I do, whatever that I'm passionate about, I find time to do it. So
Great. Thanks for the question and right answer. Any other questions from any audience? Yes.
first 10 pages I would just close my system and go back and sit. I'm saying how to complete my draft. I couldn't read at all. When I would, what am I talking in this? What am I reading this book to get out of this? Willing to read the book. So I would go and read the rest of the other authors, very famous authors. And the way that they have written, I would reflect back saying, I don't have so good in factual linguistic language. Asking them, what do I do? How do I break this? It was not easy to break. Well, I only have a limited knowledge of it. Let me go and improve my vocabulary. No, I don't have time. Now, when I read a book, I take my dictionary and keep it next to me and keep searching for those words. Right? And is that what my readers wanted to do? I said, no, that's not what I want. So I just started writing, and then I kept reading. Like it was more conversation. I was a good editor to edit my book to turn it into a very good flow. But then the thought process here many a times, right? And my kids would come and ask, "What are you writing today?" So I would say that this is what when you get angry, you have to be, you have to keep yourself cool and just step out to another room and make yourself comfortable. Then she would ask me, "Are you doing that?" And I would say no. So I'm still struggling on certain aspect, but I think it's not in boxing. It's not about how many knocks you're getting. It's about within how many counts you're getting. Right? Possibly today, maybe 10 years back, I was in 10 or I was not even getting up. And I was not even getting up. But now I'm getting up in 4 or 5. Thank you. I'm getting up in 4 or 5 knocks or 4 or 5 counts. So that's the difference. I still have a long way to go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Uday. Thanks, Usha. We have one more question.
Yeah, congrats, Vishal. So first question I want to know, like, where can I purchase this book? And next is there's one book published long time back called Yes, You Can Win. So I want to know, like, this is in the same genre of that, or this is like more into the corporate life, because he was mentioning that there's about this 20 minutes daily ritual and sort of thing. So which one does this more focuses on?
It's certainly a self-help book. I've not read that book. Yes, you can. In fact, I stopped reading for the last 1.5 years when the moment I started writing. I know Vijay laughed and we discussed about it because I didn't want that to influence my mind. I didn't want to do a copycat, so I kind of stopped. So whatever that you're going to read in the book is coming out of the people who are fortunate in my life, and which has paid me to be here. And so it's certainly to a certain age. And maybe I look forward for you to read and tell me what you didn't ask the right question. It's always on. It's there now. I also have it here, so you can take it from here also.
Yeah, so the book is available in Amazon and it is here. Here you can get it with author signature and with a photograph with the author. You can get it. Now on the 20-minute help, since I mentioned it, and I said we are doing it in corporate, but it is not only for corporate. Individually, what you can do, and that individual improvement is what we bring it onto the stage when you are in a community, when you are in a group. So in corporate life, we always look for that smaller time in 20 minutes, what can be done. So that's how I related, and it is individually how you take it. And once you master it, then you can take it to n number of people. So thanks, Usha. Thanks for that question. Any other question to Usha? I have one last question. Yes.
Congratulations, Michelle. Happy for you. that is similar to what Sir had asked. Like you have chosen the self-help. Were you, inspired to write this because you're also a coach? So, did that inspire you, or is there any other particular reason? And my second question is, what do you think is a responsibility, a social responsibility of an author? Because you, this book is for anybody, right? It could be for a child or any a woman, for every person. So how do you think that it will impact? What is the social responsibility of an author? Do we have class right with Tamil? Yes, ma'am. Good question. Thank you, Kamila. Thanks for coming on from saying it here. Now, to answer your first one, I think it depends on where you are and where you want to be. Right? So, looking at as an author, and like I said, I think I slightly touched on it. It was a very big part of women. And the question I asked is about guilt and gratitude. So this is my favorite topic. Whoever knows me, I think I was spoken about. Around 150 women, everybody had guilt. When I asked them what makes you feel comfortable, right? Or what if I have to say something, what would be that one thing that you wanted to say that I'm not happy about? At least out of 150 people, 130 people raised their hand and said that, I'm not a good mother, I'm not a good professional, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this. And then I asked them with one question I asked, okay, imagine if your partner is going to work and earn handsome. Are you willing to let go of your job and do something else? Or stay with your family and take the so called being a good mom? Are you willing to do it? So they refused. So now where is this guilt is coming from? So I that was the trigger, in fact, to look at this topic. And then you asked about the social responsibility, right? I think the one thing that I really wanted to do is I would like this book to reach to as many people as possible. The best that I can do. I only have certain thing that I can change, right? First is me, I can change. Second is whatever is reachable to me immediately is what I can do it. In fact, for this meeting, even being an author here, you all see that I'm successfully sitting as an author. But then behind me, there are so many people, right? Starting from there, starting from Bharti, so many people who are just behind me saying that, go ahead, you can do it, they're there to support. Right? Now, this is the time for me to go ahead and give it back to the society. I also am a strong believer of money is one aspect of going ahead and giving. Time is another aspect, which you will never get it back. So I'm still continuing to coach. I'm still continuing to going and giving sessions to people, especially to students and adults, and helping them. That's where it's all getting started. And being a professional, I have limited time, but especially I decided that I want to put my face as a photograph in the front of the cover. There's a lot of opposition. A lot of people came and said that, how dare you put your photo in the cover and you're expecting the book to sell? I was like thinking the whole night and saying, why should it's my book? Why shouldn't I put my face in my book? If not me, who cares to put my face in that book? I was really upset. It's not associate with multiple people where we can bring in some very good, knowledgeable videos, which not limiting to women though, but then primarily focusing on women. So which is called QRCOACH. So I had a technical glitch in. I have my flute gurus who just holding my hand and they're dragging me to the world of flute and helping me to learn something. So maybe as flute, but then please do.
How many of you already subscribed to it or been there? Okay, right now, and you can just search Be Your Coach, BEUR Coach, and you subscribe to the channel. The other thing, not just that, you can post your questions to Usha there, or what is that you want to listen from her in future. We did ask her question when is her next book or when she is going to write in Tamil, and we had a lot of questions around it. If you have anything coming up, Usha has committed saying she will respond to those questions in the form of an answer or a new book or in any other means. But you will get an answer, right, Usha?
Yeah, sure, Mani. I think or difficult to create on social media. We all know that social media has its own power, right? So as much as we can go ahead and help people who can break their limitation, I think the world is going towards you need coach at some point. You can't be without a coach. So that's what we are heading to. So I think this will really help in terms of getting more discipline.
Thank you, Usha. Now, I think exciting one why we are here, the reason for being here today, launch of the book. Now, for launching the book and also to talk about it, we have two special guests among us. First, I request them to be on stage to launch, but before I invite them, just to tell about one of our special guests, Dr. Abhirami Vivek, a postgraduate in management, marketing and human resources, and masters in psychology. I request Dr. Abhirami to be on stage. Our next special guest present here today is Dr. P.A. Edwin, is a first generation entrepreneur with mixed academics, a physics graduate, masters in psychology, doctorate in clinical psychology. So I request Dr. Edwin to join us on stage. I request Dr. Edwin to launch the book and hand over to Dr. Abhirami.
It's a great pleasure. My fear is
Thank you, Dr. Edwin, Dr. Abhirami. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So you may please have a seat. I'll just get one more for. Now, when we have our special guests, we definitely need to hear from them. We need to know their views. So, first, I would like to invite Dr. Abhirami, who has over a decade of experience in the corporate world, and her expertise is in child educational and behavioral psychology. And this book is being on the psychology side. Who better than Dr. Abhirami can share her views on the book as well as the author? So, I request Dr. Abhirami on the podium to share her views.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Yes. Thank you, Usha, for this opportunity. Here, when you mentioned about talking about the book, I think I would prefer to talk about Usha more than talking about the book. We have an expert who can talk more well about the book. So I know Usha as a parent of Sidhu when he was 8 months old. That is how we started knowing. We had similar personalities, similar ideologies, but we were thinking in the same roads. Whether it is bringing up of the child or the family or whatever, we're thinking in the same grounds. So that was interesting for me. So even in the social media, I'm very active. Usha will be silent, but sometimes I used to see, but each and everything will be there. So one fine day when she called me about this book and she told me, you won't believe this photograph, I know where it was because I've been following her. So that much of an, admiration was there for me about her. So it was, so she told me, well, when she told me, like, it was not a surprise for me that she would be writing a book. I know she will be exploring new things. She'll not limit herself with limited things, and this is my boundary. Yeah, she's a very accomplished, corporate person, everything. But still, I thought she will not limit that because, as I told, like we would like to explore. And I've seen her in everything. Like all of a sudden, she'll be there in a marathon, and then I'll see some cycling, and then all of a sudden in the triathlon. and what not, and everything will be very nice, and I will be okay, fine, and all that. So it was, like most of the time I used to interact when the kids were there in the school. I used to interact with Mr. Ravi, and our conversation will go for at least an hour. While we are talking, me and Mr. Ravi will be talking when he comes to pick up the child, and definitely there will be one call, and I know it will be Usha, and he'll say, "Abhirami madam கிட்ட தாம்மா பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன்." She'll say, okay, fine. And it's like that kind of a relationship. And like it is always a very some parents, I've been running a school for 15 years, like every parent is very close to me. And few parents are very, very special. And in such a case, they are my pioneering batch parents, so they're very close, and they know how we built and and every now and then, she used to be a kind of motivation for me, like, man, do this, man, do that. Yeah, okay, there's somebody who's acknowledging what we are doing. That way I have, as I told, it was the attraction or the admiration was very mutual. And when she called me and asked me about, like, can you just come, it was not a surprise, but when she told me, when we were interacting, when we met, she told me, like, people were thinking, like, Usha, if you write a book, it was not a surprise for me. I know she is capable of doing it. And the title, Break Your Invisible Barriers, I think she has done it in her life multiple times from childhood. As I know her a lot about her, she would have definitely done this multiple times. It is only her experience she is sharing with all those. It is not age bound, it is not territory bound, or it is not any people bound. Like it is only for this segment or this segment. It is for everybody, is what I felt. And I'm so happy to see this photograph, by the way. I was so impressed just to see this photograph because I like this photograph. You don't need any makeup, you don't need any professional shooting or anything. But then this was very nice, and in fact, I shared it with her. And we had a long chat and conversation about this multiple times, even before the book could get published. And she told, "You who came to my mind." I said, like, I've never done any book launch. I go for events. I go, no, no, no. When I started writing this, I thought of you. Oh, okay, fine. Then I will come. I really don't know what am I going to speak. But then she said, like, if can we have another person also? I said, like, yeah, we will. Then I just told about them, and then that's how. And in fact, we met, and then we had a probably 2 3 hours conversation about the book, and it was a real eye-opening experience for me to know about the book through him. Though even I have read this, but then like the perspective of someone else is very very nice. And to talk more about Usha, I feel she's a kind of replica for me. So consciously or unconsciously, we have stayed a little away from each other, not getting very close or anything like that. But sometimes, like it takes time. Probably the situation management, it takes time. I never address my parents with their name alone. I always add ma'am to it. All of a sudden, one fine day we were talking, and all of a sudden I started telling hi. And then realizing, and then like, the next day when we were talking, she said like, Abhi, I think we have, we have crossed that, and then I should start calling you as Abhi. I said, most welcome. I've started that yesterday. So somewhere or the other, like now we are getting, we have similar thoughts, and we started talking about the similar thoughts. She also mentioned that this is something which I felt like, why are you telling this when the children were there with me? Why is she telling like this? But then, later she has also pondered over it, or she has understood the perspectives and so many things. And it's something, like when I go through the book or anything, the three simple things which she has categorized is wonderful. Anybody and everybody can read, anybody and everybody can understand. It's a very simple knowledge. As you said, I don't need a dictionary to take it and keep it in, understand or look at. Sometimes when you read a book, like you'll have to decipher different meanings. Will it be like this? Will it be like that? It was simple and straight, and I could understand. And every chapter is complete. I don't need to go to one, understand, and then go to the other, understand that. If I have to read one chapter, I'm fine. No, done with it. 10 minutes of my time. And I felt every time I read, I'm understanding it even more well. even more differently. There are a lot of things as you age or as you mature, as your circumstances, you'll be able to understand it in a more better way, is what I feel. And uh, I don't want to take much of time now because I wish to hear from Dr. Edwin about this. So, hearty congratulations, Shusha, for this wonderful book. And I really appreciate your motto behind this to donate to Satkriya Trust for the girl child education, which again is a similar thought process what I am having. So through my trust, what I'm doing, I'm sponsoring children, only girl children in the different skills. So when I heard this, I'm like, how much of a similarity we have. So that way, like that's a wonderful thought of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so thankful that you gave me this opportunity. All the best and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Abhirami. To know about the author, this was wonderful. And I fully agree on the points you said. Especially, people can talk about guiding principles. It's very easy. We can give advice to anyone. That comes free of cost too. But then translating that guiding principle into an action, how to do it? You have a principle, but how to make it actionable is what this book all about. So thank you, Dr. Abhirami. Now, already Dr. Abhirami talked about, she's also expecting Dr. Edwin to talk on the book. So Dr. Edwin, he's been into psychological counseling for the past 2 decades and he excels in pre-post marital counseling, serves society at large through awareness counseling. So Dr. Edwin, we are very eager to hear from you about the book.
Thank you very much. மாசில் வீணையும் மாலை மதியமும் மூசு தென்றலும் வீங்கின மூசு வண்டரை பொய்கையும் போன்றதே ஈசன் எந்தன் இணையடி நீழலே. These are the verses which are very close to my heart because it always shows the type of great devotion which we had in our history of our land. It means that when the poet was poised into a death sentence, he was thrown into the cauldron of calcium carbonate. Because of his ardent devotion, he changed the climatical situation of his experience inside the cauldron. It was very breezeful, musical, sound of bees, the warmth of the moon, the chillness of the lotus pond, and so on, so mystical. We come from a land of great devotion, great seeking, great questioning. Such a wonderful history and tradition we have. Is that even now the same? Does the history still exist in us? Is a very big question to ponder. Is it not? Thank you very much. I welcome all of you. My special thanks to Abhirami Vivek, my 2-decade friend, through whom I knew the inspirational author, Mrs. Usha Krishnan, and her lovely husband, Mr. Ravichandran, whom I know since 2012, a very fine gentleman. And to all the ladies and gentlemen and the allied members of circles, fables, and clubs, greetings to all of you. Let me start with a small short story. If I'm really bragging, you please tell me. Once upon a time, there was a Gurukulam. There was a guru with a group of disciples. He used to conduct a discourse every day in the Gurukulam under a peepal tree for his disciples. He also had a mischievous monkey as a pet. So whenever he conducts his discourse, in order not to be distracted. So he used to have the monkey tied up to the people tree when he used to conduct the discourse. This was his practice. Years passed by. Many years later, the Guru passed away. So the new Guru came as a successor. He took over and he also started to conduct practice that the monkey was continued to tie up to the people tree where he was conducting discourse. Years passed by, the monkey passed away. Now the disciples discussed within themselves. They went into the town, they bought a new monkey, brought it, tied up to the people tree whenever the class was on. It became a practice and it went on for many years. One sparkled disciple asked the Guru, why is this monkey being tied up to the people tree every time the class is on? The Guru was quite blank for some time and he said, I really do not know. It was a practice, as a customary practice that every time there was a discourse, this monkey was tied up to the tree nearby. I don't think we come from that sort of a tradition, that sort of a culture, customary practices, but we are presently in that state of form. Do we really wanted to blame the rulers who had ruled us for the last 1,000 years, or do we really wanted to reconcile ourselves to the past glory and our history? That's a very big challenge we are poised with. If we wanted to reconcile to our past history, then we need to quite possibly unlearn in order to relearn a lot of things. Learning is for beginners, unlearning is for professionals, and relearning is for experts. We have a lot of experts and we want more experts because India is growing. When our neighboring countries are bleeding to survive, India is just rapidly growing. We have been identified in the global platform. We are a fast growing economy. We should be the fourth largest economy by this turnaround of this year. That's where we are going forward. So our materialistic growth is very challenging. We are now very fast growing and these types of corporate models and societal models are being changing rapidly. But still, we do follow the Western model of bringing up this type of saga called build your self-esteem and try to be competitive. Is that what is being taught to us? In glorified rat race, we've been told to be competitive. To be competitive, in short, is nothing but to be better than someone. This body has to be better than somebody, or for that matter, if you're too chronic, you change to any body. So you're always aggrieved of being a better person, so you are not at peace with anybody at any point of time. This accumulation of mind turns out to become a more aggressive state of mind, a state of aggression, a state of doubt, a state of fear, and a state of confusion. That's not good. Even the Westerners are finding it so pitiable. That's why they are outsourcing everywhere. They couldn't manage things on their own. We need to really look back of what we are and how to go forward. Necessary. It's the time that we need to do because it is so pathetic. I could give a statistics from the All India Family Commission that 80% of the families merely exist in a family bond. 80%, not a small figure. There is no exuberance because in psychology we say we cannot be guilty for a long period of time. We try to defend ourselves and convince ourselves very easily, like the fox and the grape story. The Palampuri. You just try to tend to say that you can't get everything in life. If I have materialistically grown, maybe I have lost my peace of mind. It's okay. Money is there. You can't get everything. You can't be greedy. That's one way of convincing yourself. The other way is to say that, let me also live my life. I'm growing, I'm making money. I also wanted to be happy. So what should I do? I turn around into two trails of my path. One is to go into a spiritual awareness to find what I need for my peace of body and presence of peace in me. The other one is to travel towards the edge of competitiveness through your corporate workshops, trying to be more productive. So these two trails are actually never meet at any point of time. You continue to search for happiness and you continue to make money, but at the end of the road, it is never intertwined. We always live in a very unfull state of mind because there is no contentment at all, at however level we grow. Some say very jokingly that, I would retire and then I will try to find peace through spiritual process. That's where I think we need to find a big breakthrough. Even if you go to a spiritual process, what happens in the first state of mind is when they speak to you, or what is being taught in a satsang or in a dhyan centers is that know thyself, know thy neighbor, and then know thy situation. That's the core. That's the epicenter of the whole process of spiritual awareness or enlightenment or the endowment of the mind. Here, I really do bow and respect. As I said, she's an inspirational author. How she's an inspirational author is very simple. She has blended, intertwined both these ways of looking at life on the spiritual and on the materialistic platform. She has brought sense in saying that through spiritual and materialism, you can balance your life. The work-life balance can be finely intertwined. And the book's epicenter is those three things. Before getting into that, I would say that the whole book is very, very simple language. The whole book is in very simple language. I have co-authored two books on marriage psychology. I know the mindset of a writer. They're very alibulous. They try to show off. I asked her, why did that not come to your mind? Your language is so simple. There is no jargons, there's no hard vocabulary, there is no cross references, there's no Western interferences at all. She laughed, she said, I did it with a purpose. She said, would you believe that I had stopped reading? She mentioned it in the questionnaire part of it. She said, I stopped reading for a brief period of time before I started writing. I don't want any influence. What I wanted to write should be more of what I have gone through my life, seen it practically, touched my hands over them. I don't want to write an illusionary subject. I'm not here an author of a genre of some sort of a fiction or some sort of a probable ideology. I will give my experience. It has to sell, it will sell. It has to reach, it will reach. That was a simple answer she gave. So the book is so simple, number one. Number two, it touches the epicenter of a human search. Manage yourself. Learn that art to manage yourself. Naturally, you'll go to the second step to manage others. And when you know to manage yourself, absolutely, you are just into the right track to manage the situation. That's it. The whole book is only centered into these three major topics. And then it comes of breaking it in parts. Might be in parts, but it is a whole. It's inclusive. Well, all these chapters are framed so crisp and clear that it doesn't drag that after you read the book, you need to wait for one more publication of part two. No, this suffices. It ends there. These chapters are so simple and standalone chapters. That's the beauty of it. When I read it, I felt as a reader, you need not have a bookmarker inside your book. Not required. because these chapters are standalone and they are complete by themselves. Every chapter. So even if you read one chapter, you know that you will have to go to the next one because that's not very elaborate, just a 4 page maximum. And every chapter she addresses with the challenge in the heading. The chapter holds the tagline of the challenge, what we need to look into it. She explains in the first part of the chapter what is the challenge is all about. Then she goes narrating it with stories, beautifully done with epics from the Upanishads, beautifully all Indianized, make in India. No cross references, no Western smell, nothing. And the best part is that all the stories which she has written in this book are the stories which we already know. Nothing new. Ramayana or Mahabharata or any Zen type of a story. Zen is again not a foreign one, isn't it? It's from us. It was exported. So she has used those Zen stories also to explain so vividly that not put time to understand the story, but you can relate it to the context of what she's trying to mention thereafter. So it's so finely tuned that the chapter says the challenges we need to face, narrated by a story, and then an explanation on the solution building of that challenge. And after the reader has gone through this process, there is a self introspection page to do a worksheet also for primary issues or chronic troubles which you go into your life aspect. What a complete, there is a full completeness given to it. I really admire the way she has handled it so nicely, very professionally. Going through these chapters, and after you pass on to the next level, you find that you also have ammunitions inside it, like Mr. Mani had said. You have lovely make in India ammunitions, not those old, the big sutras, or even I read Deepak Chopra's books. You find a lot of Western traces which might not be very, very adaptable to what we wanted here in our state or society or community. She has a lot of ammunitions, small make in India. You have a lot of A3s, F3s, G3s. When you read the book, you will find those are real sniper shots in those books. Lovely, very beautifully done. And she's taken it so well in such a way that one can really build up this type of potent passion towards handling themselves and the society. The type of placebo effect you can create, the vibration you can create to yourself and reverberate to the others around, making it a wholesome. That's the end. That's the real part of our life. Money making, because at one particular age, when you cross your 40s, when you touch the crossroad of life, when you sit to the midlife crisis of your life, then you might think, am I on the right path? Turning back, you can find that there has been an upgrowth in a materialistic way, but am I really happy with what I have come up? There are losers. We have seen people, especially I've been in 2 decades of counseling, like somebody mentioned, I've been handling families, people who have lost their lives in this glorified rat race. So this book helps us to understand who we are and helps us to understand the others and also nicely adapt to the situation. And I strongly believe this is nothing to do with any particular gender. I have read some commentaries from a few others when I was talking while I come here that it was centered on women empowerment, development of women rights and other things, how they can be in a corporate world. First of all, this book is not devised from my point of view for a corporate world alone. No. Even for a societal approach, it's a gender neutral. It's a gender neutral that everybody can read this book. It's the basics of life's expectation. It's a sort of a mantra. You can go through it. You can use it in both the aspects of your materialistic and spiritual growth because it gives you the basics of how you can handle your emotions. You mentioned the bundle of emotions is what we are made up of. Yes, absolutely true. This bundle of emotions, how we can really bring it out from us in the presence of a society, a community. This would help us to bring forth a very harmonious society which we have to envisage. We're seeing so much of news. We are globally connected now through the internet. We know how bad it is that the Western cultures have now poised a thread of survival. No happiness, no contentment. But it is so necessary that we have all these art with us. It is forgotten. Maybe because we had turned to become survival of the fittest. The time has come that we are also are glorified now. We are in the big growing economy. The upgrowth is so much there for all of us. We need to do it. And I can really, I have read a book a long back ago about Happy Death written by Albert Camus, a French novelist and a Nobel Prize winner. He talks about how to behave as a communal saint, how to be in a society and still be in a saintly manner, how to handle yourself. That book, but that book has never helped me because I have read it 3 times. Either you have to be so ascetic that you need to become a sannyasi in order to achieve that. But this book has helped me to understand that you can intertwine and really bring forth the balance of handling your work and life in a finite balance. I'm very thankful and I'm very not only proud, I also feel so privileged that I could talk about this book today. That offer, that type of an opportunity was given to me. I should thank God first because without His intervention, I would have not been here. And I thank you, madam. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. I wish you all the best of luck. And as I've always requested you during our personal interview, I said you should also touch a book on the subject parenting. So that's my favorite subject. So I have a lot of inputs, at least a dime to give you when it comes to that subject because we are touching the branches. Let's touch the root. So if there can be a book on parenting, how we can bring forth children of today's generation, that's a very big challenge, and everybody would say yes to it. So if you can start something under that, I could also share my data with a lot of love and happiness. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Edwin. I was just simply listening to his words and relating to our history and what is that we were missing and how this book is bringing back some of the things to us. And I could relate everything he was talking and relating the book. Now, in my view, Usha might have got A3, G3, so I'm going to say triple E, not electrical electronics engineering. Experience of Usha codified in the book, which would enable us in our personal and professional journey towards excellence. Experience of Usha enabling us to achieve excellence, the triple E. That's how I say it, Usha. Wish you all the best, and thanks to our special guests for sharing their views and perspectives about the book. And definitely, it's a privilege for me to stand here. And once again, thanks, Usha. Now we are coming to the end of our event. We cannot close the event without hearing from Usha about this entire journey and what she wants to tell to us after this successful launch, and many more success is going to come to her. So Usha, request you to have closing remarks for the event today.
Thank you so much, Evin, sitting patiently and people who are on live. First of all, I want to thank myself for taking that plunge to break the barriers. It's not one or two barriers, right? It took me years to understand if you're ready to break the barrier, the universe is going to give you a lot more support. So that's why I'm here today. The second thank you is for my family, especially my husband. Right? He's been extremely supportive, and thank you so much. And for my kids as well. They would look at my crazy timing of writing, getting up at 1 o'clock in the night and just going to the computer. And suddenly, I'm not next to my daughter, and she'll be wondering, "What are you doing?" Right? So without their support, I don't think I wouldn't have been here. And the one message I want to give is, while there are so many people who are behind this, which I mentioned earlier, I've learned from them. I've practiced that. I've implemented that in my life, and that has brought me here. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I told you all the stories of what I am doing. I'm just an average student. I don't know to speak in English or communicate in English. It's all the muscle that I built over the period of years. Sir is here, Srinivasan sir is here. He would know that I know him for years together. And he knew what stuff. And I just go and ask for help, saying that I need this. I have my flute guru here, my Prabhu master. We have discussed so many things with him when I started writing this book, and he used to give me some ideas. And don't do this. Go ahead and write on this. So it's not just one that I've written my book. All my gurus who have brought me to this. In fact, they literally dragged me. Right? They held my hand and they said, "Come with me." If you know this marathon, during the end of the marathon, like possibly 100, 150 meters is sprint that somebody will have to finish, and they lose their mental stability. I don't know if you've noticed that. They'll not even able to walk. If they try to straight walk, go straight, their body and mind will take them to the left side. Right? And there's a hell comes and for being here. Three things that I want to leave it with: aspire for it, go ahead and put your hard work, and the universe will give you 10x, and be ready to embrace that. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Have the book here. You can buy it.